Next, we're going to draw the mouth. We're going to use a strategy to help us make the mouth more even that starts with 3 circles. 2 circles for the top lip and 1 circle for the bottom lip. If you have thinner lips, your circles might be smaller, and if you have fuller lips, your circles might be a little bit bigger. These circles are only showing us the middle part of the mouth, so you don't need to stretch them out all the way across the face. We're going to start by drawing the Cupid's bow, or that middle dip in the upper lip, and that's going to follow your circles. We're then going to extend it over the tops of the circles in kind of a stretched out M shape to show the curves at the top of your lip. Then we're going to stretch out the sides of the lip until it just about meets those lines that show where our pupils are going to go. If you look at someone from straight on, you're going to see their mouth is just about as wide as their pupils are far apart. Next, we're going to work on the bottom lip, and we're going to follow that curve of our bottom circle and then bring it up to meet the edges of the line we created for the top lip. For most people, the bottom lip doesn't go out quite as far as the top lip does. You can take a minute to try and make that as even as you can, but if it's not perfect, that's okay. Nobody's exactly symmetrical in real life. For the line that separates the lips, we're going to kind of follow the shape of the very top line we made for our top lip. Usually the bottom of the top lip and the top of the top lip are about the same shape. Once we have those lines in place, we can go ahead and erase those circles on the inside. If you need to adjust the shape any more, you can. And then we're going to add some shading. I'm going to start by shading the top lip just an overall gray. For most of us, the top lip looks a little bit darker than the bottom lip because of the way the light hits the bottom lip and makes it a little brighter. Also, most people's top lips tend to tilt down just a bit, giving it some more shadow. So I've made my top lip just a couple shades darker than my bottom lip, but you don't want to make it too much darker or you look like you have a mustache. Now I'm going to define that mouth a little bit more with more specific shading. The mouth is a little bit darker at the corners, so I'm working on the top lip first and making the outside corners of the top lip a little bit darker. The lighter part of the top lip on the middle section is going to make it look like the mouth actually pops out and is a bit more 3D. Now I'm just darkening up that line between the lips where there would be a little bit of shadow, and then I'm darkening the outer edges of the bottom lip as well. And you can kind of see how once I've done that, it looks immediately like the mouth is a little more 3D. Once you're happy with the shading on the mouth, you want to add some creases in the lips. If you look at anybody's lips, even if they're not chapped, there's a little bit of creasing in them just because our mouth moves. I've also added a little bit more shape to the very outer corner edges of the mouth, and then adding those creases to the bottom lip as well. The creases don't have to be very dark, but just adding a little bit of texture will make the mouth look more realistic. Again, if you need to touch up the shape of the mouth, don't be afraid to do that anytime. Another way that we can make our lips look more realistic is to shade some of the areas around them. After I've erased any extra guidelines, I'm going to work on shading the very top above the lip, just underneath the nose. Most of us have an indent there where our Cupid's bow is, and adding a little bit of shadow can help to make the mouth pop out. There's usually a little bit of shadow underneath the bottom lip as well, and sometimes on the sides of the mouth. This doesn't have to be very dark or very obvious, but just a little bit can make a big difference. You can also blend your shading with your finger if it looks a little harsh, but be careful not to blend too much. Now I'm just adding a downward curve for the chin. I'm sort of taking a look at my drawing, and I feel like now that I've drawn in all my features, the chin should be just a little bit longer and maybe have a little more defined shape. So I'm going back in and adjusting the bottom of my head shape to look a little more realistic. You would do this by looking at the person that you're drawing, finding their chin shape, and trying to make your drawing look a little more like them. Once I've got my extra lines in place, I can erase the parts I don't need.